Welcome to the Social Circle, where creators come together to turn ideas into impact and goals into a reality. And today we have a special social sit down where we have a guest join us. So, my name is Candace, and this is
Jennifer, and I'm so happy you guys are here. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you so much for spending your moments with us.
Today, we're going to get a rare behind the scenes perspective from somebody that's not only been a creator, she's been running brand campaigns, creating viral pet content, and helping creators land brand partnerships without selling out. She's spilling everything from shady platform red flags to what brands actually care about. And we are so excited to welcome Courtney Canfield.
It could have
Welcome,
been because it
Courtney.
was cheap, but I don't know. Good
Hi.
morning.
Good
Hello.
morning.
How are
Welcome. We're
you?
just talking
We're
about
just BS until
family
you get here.
drama. Courtney, this is
Glad you're
just
here.
our little jam. This is where
Yeah.
we like to talk about all of the crazy things that we've been through on social media in the last 3 years, which of course is nothing in comparison to your 13, right?
We're babies. We're babies. We got to learn from you.
It's so funny because I was thinking about this the other day. Like when you get started so early in something, like it makes you feel so far ahead, but then people catch up to you so quickly. So
Yeah.
yes, I've been in this for so long, but so much has happened in the past 3 years.
Oh my
Like
God.
in it just keeps getting compressed. More stuff keeps happening, and you have to stay on top of it. Yes, I've been doing this for a long time, but like it is not the same as it was 10 years ago.
Right.
Like I started doing social freelancing in college, which is like back when it was just Facebook and Twitter. And I think MySpace might have still been a thing at that point, but I wasn't using it. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, it was so simple. It was so simple to just be like on the cutting edge. And now it's like
Yeah.
to be on the cutting edge, you have to like kill yourself every
You
day.
do.
Right. There was, I assume, a lot less competition,
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot less. Actually, let me just get started because, like we
Yeah,
said, you've been
let's
here,
do
you've
it.
been in this space for 13 years. Like, how did this begin for you? How did it start?
Oh my God. There's so many weird things that happened to me. I did not graduate with a marketing degree. I graduated with a degree in Spanish, and I do not use it anymore.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but I had no idea what I want. I was one of those in college that I was like, okay, I'll graduate, and then like what? I had no idea. So I went to work for a law office, or law firm, and prior to this, like I said, I had done a little bit of freelancing in college that I basically went to small businesses and was like, hey, are you on Facebook? And they were like, what's Facebook? I was like, well, let me tell you. And I got them on Facebook. And it was just like a thing. I like charged them $150 each. Like it was like the most like scrappy little 2010 kind of
Little
thing that,
side hustle.
Yeah,
oh my God.
legit though.
I,
I
I was
think
Love
like,
that's
it.
so amazing. That's brave, number one, because I'm just too chicken shit to call up anybody and say, hey, you want to do something?
I went to a Chamber of Commerce meeting when I was a junior in college, and I was like, "Hey, does anyone want help with social media?" And they were all like, "Oh, there's a millennial here. Like, hark, I hear a millennial. She must tell us her ways."
That
And
is freaking awesome.
I was
Yeah.
thinking back to that. I was like, first of all, like, go me for doing that, but like it was the bar was so low that like, like if anyone did that now, yes, it would probably still get some attention, but it wouldn't be like that kind of
Right.
attention. And
Yeah.
people were like, "Whoa, who is this rare specimen?" And it was just it was so easy to get ahead back then. So
Yeah.
I did some freelancing in college, just scrappy stuff. And then I went to work for a law firm, and it was the worst job I've ever had in my entire life. I obviously was speaking Spanish at the time, so I was translating, and I was a legal assistant. I think I was making like $29,000 a year, right out of college in 2011. And I was having to bartend, and it was just like the worst thing. And I was like, I still like Facebook. It was Facebook and Twitter. It's like
Right.
I still like Facebook, so I started doing freelancing while I was working at the law firm, and my boss could tell that I hated my job.
Oh,
And I told her about the freelancing, and she was like, at the time it felt like the biggest insult, but she fired me. She was like, "Okay, you're really not good at this, but I think you're good at this other thing." And I was like, "But I want to be good at this." No, I didn't. I did not want to be good at this.
Right.
It was like
You
what,
just
It
didn't
was your
know.
23?
it was your Devil Wears Prada moment.
Yeah, yes, there we go. I want to be good. No, I didn't. So she laid me off, and I think like it was at the point where I had barely any money, and I had just gotten my dog Rambo. I was living downtown in Greensboro, North Carolina. While I was working at this job, it was right before I had gotten laid off. And I got Rambo, my ex-boyfriend gave him to me as a gift, more or less. He pressured me to get a dog and was like, I don't know anything about dogs. So I got this tiny little puppy that was like this big, and he was adorable. And at the time, there was a big trial happening at the courthouse and right next door to where I lived. Um, the John Edwards trial. Literally, no one remembers this except for me. But it was during that time in 2012 where the news was slow. Imagine that. And they had nothing else happening. And so all these reporters from all over the United States were here reporting at this trial. So they were lined up on the sides of the street, like on the sidewalks. So I'd walk my dog, and he was this tiny little puppy, and we'd like be walking through all these reporters, and everyone would stop. But like they were there for 6 weeks, so they would
Right.
stop and want to pet the puppy. And like Rambo became the unofficial mascot of the John Edwards trial. But
Oh,
he
wow.
used campaign finances to like hide his mistress, and that was like the whole thing, the whole
I think
trial.
I
So
remember him.
it
Wow,
was a
okay.
Long time,
shock.
like I was a long time ago.
It was, yeah, a very long time ago. Um, but everyone was there for 6 weeks. We made friends, and like I have connections now that I'm still like very close to some of these reporters and producers, and we met some famous reporters, and Rainbow got his picture with them, and like again, he's this big, right? So he's
Right.
adorable. And at the end, when the trial was done, everyone was like, "Oh my God, we need to be able to see Rambo grow up." Like what? They were devastated. And I was like, well, I think I could do a Facebook page for him. Like I think I could maybe make a Facebook page, and then you
Mhm.
guys just follow him, like look for Rambo, I guess Rambo the puppy. So I told them to follow him, and I think I got my first 100 followers or fans. At the time it was fans. And I was like, oh my God, I have 100 fans. That's so cool. Like, I have 100 fans. This is amazing. They're all the people I know, and like my mom and like her friends, right? So cut to me being laid off at the law firm. It was like a month later, and I was like, what am I gonna do? And at the time, I was still, of course, like building this Facebook page, posting the worst photos. Like, I mean, they were not aesthetic. Like they were like straight out of a toaster. Like that's what they looked like. With like the Nashville filter and whatever.
Right.
But yeah, and I also made him an Instagram, but like the Instagram wasn't really taking off because like everyone followed him on Facebook, and
Mhm.
that's where, everyone was. So I think I grew to like 2,000 followers by the time I was laid off at my law office job. And I was like, oh,
Nice.
this is cool. And then I'm like, well, I need to go do social media because the boss who just laid me off told me that it's my calling. So I went and I was like, okay, I'm going to apply to all these jobs. I applied to all these local jobs
Mhm.
for social media. And I got an interview at a company here. I won't go into the company, but I got my interview here, and they were mostly impressed. Not by my freelance work that I had done while at the law office, not by the fact that when I was in college, I went into the Chamber of Commerce and was like, hey guys, who wants to learn about Facebook? It was because my dog had
The
2,000
dog.
on Facebook. So I credit him to my ability to like get my first job in social media, which was like
Right.
it's the funniest and most perfect story for my
Right.
just it's like the best villain origin story ever. Um, so I got this job, and it was not so much in social media, it was running their celebrity ambassador program because like influencer wasn't a word really.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Um, and content creator definitely wasn't a
Right.
word like or used in the way it is now, right? So,
Right. It was all celebrities doing all
yes,
the
Yeah,
commercials and
yeah.
exactly,
advertising. Yeah.
exactly. So, this company was owned by a couple who started in Greensboro, but they eventually like went global and they have a gazillion dollars and they have a house in
Wow.
Miami. They have houses everywhere and they have yachts and whatever. So they have all these really famous friends. And all these really famous friends were like, yeah, sure, we'll do your celebrity ambassador program. So
That's cool.
me, like it was cool, but like it didn't actually work. Um, me at
Oh,
23, 24 years old, I was like,
oh no.
okay, I'll email Kimora Lee Simmons. I think
Oh
it was
my God.
Kimora Lee Simmons, Carmelo Anthony, Lala Anthony was actually someone who I talked to frequently.
Really?
Who
That's so
else?
cool.
Bob Marley's son.
No
Um,
way.
Fat Joe was one who was like, I met him many times because they had like these worldwide events where like people from all over the world would come. It was kind of like an MLM sort of company, but we
Mm,
weren't allowed to say that. It was like Avon on steroids. And all
right.
these like celebrity friends were part of this celebrity ambassador program and they were earning commissions on products. And so I was running that, and it didn't really take off the way that we had hoped. But I actually started working in influencer marketing before like social media, which was kind of cool.
Right.
Then they laid off a few people on the social media team, or they quit. I can't really remember. And they were like, "Okay, Courtney, you go over there." So I was doing both jobs, of course, for like $40,000 a year in 2012. I was living the dream, like.
Yeah.
Like I was living the dream. So I worked there for I think like 2.5 years, running their social pages for multiple brands that they had, as well as like their main company pages, running the blog, like very like again, the bar was so low back then. Like you could be like,
Right.
I'm on Instagram and everyone was like, hire her, or like just the bar was so low. So, but we were doing Twitter, Instagram, Facebook for all their brands and as well as the company. So it was a lot at once. And of course, like doing live event coverage. We have a Coliseum here in Greensboro, and every year, all of the like franchise owners and distributors and all the sales reps would come, and it would be like 30,000 people, and I would have to cover the event with my team. Of course, it wasn't
Right.
just me. Um,
Wow.
and
No
yeah,
pressure.
no, no pressure.
You
And
were doing all of the PR.
Wow.
yeah,
All
yeah,
like
yeah.
all of it.
All
From
all their social, like
yeah.
coming up with a plan to cover something like that is the most wild thing. Like it was,
From a Spanish degree, by the way.
Right.
yeah, right?
Kudos.
Like,
And
hola,
you were
I
you
can do
were
this.
you were
Wow.
like
This is weird.
learning, you
Jack of
were
all
drinking
trades
from
on
a
the
fire
fly.
hose. Drinking from
Yeah.
a fire hose, just trying to learn
Yes.
and get through it. Yeah,
And
dude,
it was
that's
not
crazy.
easy, but it wasn't hard. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Like
Yes.
it it was so clear that me and my team, like we were the only ones who could do this because everyone was also like, everyone else was like, oh, there's a phone. I don't understand how to use this phone. Like I only use like, the phones with the buttons. Like, so it was so like we really were the keeper of the keys when it came to their entire social presence. Like if we had
Wow.
all gotten hit by a bus, like their entire company would have like gone
Oh
down
my
the drain.
God.
Thank God we didn't.
Wow. Yeah, right.
Um, right? But it was a very, very toxic work culture.
I'm sure.
And it was not a great place to stay and grow. Like it was a great place to get started because then I had like the thing on my resume that I needed to go
Yeah.
somewhere else, right? And I did have a lot of experience, like again, just dealing with the fire hose situation. There's
Yeah.
so and
Drinking from a fire hose.
people quitting left and right. So you have to jump in on like their channels too, and then just wild kind of stuff. But I eventually left that company, went to a marketing agency that's here in Greensboro. And although, again, I mean, very toxic work culture, but not nearly as toxic as the last place. Most agencies are to some extent, just because of the nature of
Yeah.
agency work. Like you live to serve the client, which is not really my vibe. Um, but it was a great learning experience. And I got to work on some of like the best brands ever.
Wow.
And yeah, it was very cool. I was working on brands like Hilton and Waldorf Astoria and Conrad Hotels and Stainmaster Flooring, and then like some
Wow.
financial brands like BB&T. And I had this weird flashback the other day where I remember doing a brainstorm, like ideation session for a pharmaceutical brand that was a cancer drug. And I was like, I did that. It was like the weirdest like mix of brands.
Right.
That like at one point I was working on Colgate, I think, or something. No, 3M. I was working on 3M, and there was like
Mm,
multiple, 3M owns like half the world.
right.
So it was a great experience working as a social media strategist. And then they came to me, they were like, Courtney, at the time, like my Facebook page was still growing. I think I had at the time like maybe 200,000 followers. And I was sort of working with brands at this time. It was like 2016-ish. And they were like, Courtney, you're an influencer. Is that what they're calling? Yeah, you're one of those, right? I was like, sure. Yeah, I work with brands, but like I could not like live off of it. And I think it was mostly like product exchanges. I was getting paid a little bit.
Right.
They were like, well, we need an influencer program for a new client that we just told we could do an influencer program for. And I was like, okay, that's so
Awesome.
like typical of an agency. Like, yes, we
Right.
can do it. How do we do that? Like,
Right.
Right. They have no clue.
like no clue. And so that's when I started really, really honing in on the influencer stuff. Like I just
Wow.
built an entire program on my own. No one knew what I was doing. I went off into a corner and it was like, okay, we're just gonna get this done.
Yeah.
And it was good. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't the best thing, but I mean, it was decent, and the client liked it. We did it again a few times. And I think the best part for me at that point, because obviously I'm a pet content creator. I love my dog. I love working with pets. And the program that I got to build for the very first time from like 0 to 100 was a pet content creator program or pet
Oh,
influencer program.
nice.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, so with a client that actually I had brought to them because Rambo did dog modeling for them. It was
Rambo everywhere.
it was weird.
Everywhere.
Yeah, we did some modeling for a flooring company. And I was like, I work at a marketing agency. They were like, oh, cool, we did a new one. So I was like, okay, go meet my boss. And then yeah, so
Nice.
um, yeah, so that was essentially the start of everything.
Right.
And then I bounced around some agencies after that, mostly, well, after that was just influencer marketing agencies. So I haven't been doing as much social as I've been steeped in the influencer world.
My
Holy
next
cow.
question is, what's your favorite one that you worked with during that time? Like
Yeah.
if you had to pick one brand, just during that time, not
Oh,
since you've been an
brand
influencer,
or agency? Because
brand,
Oh,
like that
brand.
you
Yeah.
worked with when you were doing the agency stuff.
I really did like the flooring brand. Because they were very pet centric. So
Yeah.
obviously like
Oh, wow.
that was fun. They recarpeted my entire house for me for free, which with the Stainmaster
Heck
floor
yeah.
carpet that right? And that's like it needs to be replaced already, but it's been like almost 10 years, I guess.
Right.
But I really did like working with them, and they did see me as the expert, which was new for me, especially because at the time I had come from the other company that I had gotten like my real big start with. And that company, even though I got hired because of Rambo's following, I was teased mercilessly because of my Facebook page and
Right.
because
I'm
of
sure.
Really?
like to the point where it was mean, like, and yes, I'm a sensitive individual, but that's not my fault that you are being mean and it's hurting me. It's your fault.
That sounds like you, Jennifer.
And like
Yeah.
That's
they
Jennifer.
were awful, awful to me. And I refused to call myself an influencer while I was there because I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed by this. Even though, like, I mean, if I could go back and be like, girl, own it. You are killing it.
Right.
Even though your photos look like they were taken with a toaster, you are still killing it. Like, and you are doing it. So but I finally started to own my experience as a influencer slash content creator when I was at the marketing agency where I was working with the flooring brand, and they saw me that way too. And it was like I was like, oh wait, I could I could do this, even though I've been doing it. Like, when you get that realization where you're like, I'm doing it and I'm not
Yeah, you stepped
terrible.
into your power.
Not
You
terrible
stepped
at
into
Right.
it.
your power and you were like, you know what? I can do this. I'm actually
Yeah.
really good at this. Yeah.
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 Good for
And
you.
I mean, there were some things where I was like, I don't know how to do any of this, but you know what, you figure it out.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, especially when you're on the, I don't know if that would be the cutting edge, but again, like the bar was low. Like
Right.
when you're at that point, most people don't know what they're doing, which is cool because then you're like, hey, if you don't know what you're doing, then that means it's okay that I don't know what I'm doing and I'm just figuring it out. You're
Right.
just pretending you know, but we all know that you don't. So it's
Right.
a weird like mind game to play.
I love that. That's awesome and raw and real and actually how it happens.
Right?
Nobody
Right?
knows what they're doing.
And if
No. And
they pretend that they do, it's mostly because they're insecure about it.
Oh,
Like,
heck yes.
right? You know, so yeah.
I just made a video about this morning. I just made a video about this morning because I had an audit call with somebody last week, well, twice, the week before and last week. And she's not to get started on social media, but and these cookie cutter like people that are out here telling people,
Like the
the
done for you
opposite
kind
of
of
what
thing.
Shannon McKinstry is telling people, right? Like they're just the
Yeah.
people that she's calling out, I guess is the
Mhm.
best way to put it.
Like the
Just you
blanket
have
statements where it's
yeah,
like,
you
Mhm.
have to do content this way. You
yes.
can't do this way. And I'm
To
like,
go
Mhm.
viral, do this.
Mhm.
right, like it's all a
8
test.
hashtags, 15, 0.
Right, like it's all a test, people. That's the big secret, everybody. Marketing is all
Yeah.
about testing. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
social media is marketing, whether it's
Yes.
yourself or a product, right?
Mhm.
And I
Yes.
love your backstory already. It's just proof in the pudding is that you just have to do it. Get your hands dirty, whether you know what the outcome will be or not. Just the fact that you
Absolutely.
did it is
Yes.
one step ahead of whoever's listening right now who's still stuck maybe and doesn't
Yes.
even think they can. Like
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's the
Like if
biggest
you have
game. You
all the
got it.
knowledge and you're not doing a damn thing, you don't have anything, right? Like
We need a clapper. That's the audio right there. So true.
Oh, that
So
was a
true.
fart.
That is the best thing that I've heard somebody else say in like a long time. I love hearing that because it's so true. You can know and be a bookworm, but until you actually take the action steps that you need to move the needle forward, it's fluff. You're a fart
yeah.
in the wind. It doesn't matter what you know in your head. You have to
Mhm.
show us what you can do. I'm struggling with this, and this is why it's probably hitting so hard, is that I know a lot, but I struggle with my content on my own billboard page. I call it my billboard page, but it's my own Instagram, and
Mhm.
it's a difficult thing. Um, to one have that confidence and believe that you can do it and then
Mhm.
just do the actual stuff. Like I know what I'm supposed to do. I talk with Candace all the time. Like I feel like I should be doing this and this and this, and then I get in my own head, and that's the danger zone is getting in
Yeah.
your own head about anything.
Yes. Yes. The
Yeah.
overanalyzation is
How
like
have
Yes.
you
it will
managed
kill
to
you.
stay out of your head for 13
Yes.
years?
Explain this. I want to know.
Like how
You know, I was so like it's I don't know how to explain it, but thinking back to when I was in college and I needed to make money was the thing. Like I had just gotten back from studying abroad in Argentina and I was back home early. Like the semester had ended early, so I had 2 months at home
Mm.
with my parents and I was like I'm going to go absolutely insane if I
Nuts.
sit around here and do nothing. So that's when I was like, I'm gonna teach business owners at the Chamber of Commerce about Facebook. Okay. I don't know how I like going okay, words are hard sometimes. Going back, if I went back and did that, I'd be like, oh, well, I'd be second guessing myself. And I'd be like, oh, well, what if other people know more? And I was just like, hey, I know some shit. I'm going to go in and see if they don't know it. So, and then can I swear on this, by the way? Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Please do.
Um, I
Yeah.
don't know if like, anyway.
You're
Hello.
cool.
My
Um,
You're cool.
I'm a co-host. Have
okay.
we met?
Anyway, just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if this was PG or whatever.
No.
Um, but yeah, like, hey, I knew they didn't know it. So I already had the upper hand. I think the thing is now when you're in this space and you don't know what other people know, or you're like, oh, they might know more than me. And that's what gets in our way, right? But
Yeah.
here's the thing. You don't know what they know. They don't know what you know. And just because they might know more than you doesn't mean that you can't communicate it in a certain way that they couldn't do, right?
Yep.
So even if I had walked in there and said, "Hey, does anyone know about Facebook?" and someone raised their hand and they were like another millennial, they're trying to do the same thing or whatever, I'd be like, "Okay, cool. Well, let's hear from you and I'll share my pitch or whatever."
Right.
And we communicate differently. We know different things. Like our brains are not copy and paste, right?
Right.
Oh yeah.
So whatever it is, you know something and you have a certain spin on it, and that will always be different from someone else. So there's always value in that.
Very,
Yeah,
very true.
Yeah.
that 100% and growth. So you built this huge community, right? Around Rambo.
Hmm.
And now you have kind of stepped out, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
you're building your own
Something.
account, right? Well, as an authority in the space, as somebody that knows a lot of shit in the space, right? And um growing, man, on Instagram.
It's impossible.
Jennifer,
It's the hardest platform in my opinion. And so in my this must have come from childhood, but doing the hard homework first so that you
Mhm.
can just tackle the easy stuff later.
Mhm.
That's my perspective when I choose a platform. And TikTok, I was able to get to like 1,000 followers in 30 days, no problem. It seemed like TikTok was like the one to
I am
start from.
sucking at TikTok, so we're gonna have to talk because like I am not doing a good job.
It's just every
so
platform is
random.
different. Even Facebook is a complete like redheaded stepchild out
Oh
of
God,
all of
yeah.
these platforms. And every audience is different for each of these platforms. There's reasons for that. And Instagram has definitely been the one that has probably slapped me down harder than anything in my life.
Really? That's fair.
For my content that I'm doing, yeah, I started out with um affiliate marketing, trying to coach people with digital marketing and help them understand what it is. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's real. It's a way to make an income. All of that kind of content for like 2 years, a year and a half. Then I switched. I pivoted because that wasn't working because there were so many other creators in that space that were bombarding you with just garbage. So it was
Yeah,
just, I feel like phasing people out. Like
still
they
do.
were just dulling people to that content.
Mhm.
And so I decided with that pivot, I'm like, this is a way I could relearn how to be me because at the time I also didn't trust what I knew either. So it was a whole learning experience around understanding what it was exactly I was trying to tell people, and then also trying to learn how to actually do the things that I was trying to tell people to do.
Yes.
And that's a thing that, again, it comes from doing. You can learn about it, you can buy all the education you want to, but
Mhm.
until you get in front of the camera and stop psyching yourself out,
Yes.
it's a crapshoot, you know, like
And there's
it's
a big gap between knowing what you're doing
yeah.
and actually doing it. Like
Yep.
I'm trying to think of a good example of like, I
Any
don't know,
side hustle that anybody talks about
right?
Right.
online where they're like, "Oh, you should do this side hustle." And then they've
Right.
got the million comments like, "Whoa, well, where do you go? I couldn't find it." And they're like, "Well, I don't know. It's just, hey, grab my
Or someone
course."
told me the other day, they were like, "Are you sharing this link on Pinterest? Because like Pinterest is about," I'm like, "Look, Pinterest is great. I failed miserably at Pinterest because it is so much work
Yeah,
and
it is a
Yeah.
lot of work.
it is not worth it to me. And plus with all the AI generated stuff now, it's really not worth it.
Right.
But I
Right.
mean, they people it's like a flex for them to say, "Oh my God, have you tried this? It's so easy." When they know if they've actually done it, it's not easy. And it's
Right.
such a freaking lie when people say that kind of thing, and it's deceiving, and I hate it.
The
You know,
deceit. That's what
this
I hated the most.
deceit,
Me
the
too.
Yeah.
dishonesty,
Yeah.
like, no, it's not easy, and it's okay to say it's not easy. Not every if it's not easy, it doesn't make you a bad person.
Right.
If it
Oh
means
yeah.
that you're trying something that's hard, right? Like it's okay if it's not the easiest thing. You're doing it though, and you can say, "Hey, look, I'm doing this thing and it's paying off. It's not easy, but here's what I did," right?
Hmm.
Like, we
That's the
want to do
epitome.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure you tune in next week for part 2 of our social sit down with Courtney Canfield.